Hello and welcome. Today we've got Adam Shardlow and James Mason, and we are going to be discussing pensions, retirement funds, and precious metals. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to NhsVeniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview, unless, of course, we choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's going on right now. But Adam and James, thank you for joining me. How are you? Adam, you can go first.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Nicholas. All the better for seeing you looking incredibly smart and putting us to shame, really.
He is, isn't he?
We need to up our clothing game, I think, next time.
We do.
James, how are you? And what's been happening with you?
No, we're good. I'm just back from a little holiday. So I've just been away with the family to a caravan up in the seaside. So, yeah, a bit weathered. Because, as you know, British weather isn't the best, is it?
Well, it's not, but, absolutely not. But we make the most of it, right? We make the most of it.
Yeah.
So, guys, where do we begin with, what is it that you would like to explain to the viewers today about retirement funds and pensions? Because we know that this system is broken and, the long term, it just doesn't work, So where do we begin with this? I'm going to let you guys take the mic. You can do a presentation and then we can fire some questions at the end. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Sounds good.
I think the first thing we should explain, Nicholas, is our disclaimer, and then what we can do is we can go over for the new people who haven't heard us before, haven't heard anything about us before. We'll explain briefly what we do, what we're all about, so they'll get the gist of our aim, our objective, and how we help people. But the first thing we'll go into is a disclaimer, is we're not financial advisors. This is part of what we do. We don't believe in financial advice. We only believe in financial education and financial awareness. There's too much bad advice out there. As you can see, we don't wear shirts and ties and suits. We don't. We said right from the beginning, nothing wrong with that, but we're not financial advisors. We'd rather educate and empower people. That's what it's about. It's empowering people to make their own choices, to take control of their own personal economies, and not be reliant on other entities, other corporations or the government. That's where people have. We believe that people have fallen over a lot, as they're 100% reliant on the government. So we help people through education and financial awareness to make their own decisions, to empower themselves, to take control back of their own financial situation and be in a better place financially down the line. So that is our disclaimer, really, and what we do in short. We just help people via precious metals be in a better place financially down the line, so they're not having to struggle. Because, as you said, Nicholas, you know fine well about the system, just as much as us regarding the system, and it is corrupted, and it is. I personally feel it's evil. It's not designed for them. It's designed to keep the masses locked up, be behind bars. You're locked up by debt, really, aren't you? You're a slave to debt. The whole system is debt driven, and we're trying to help people to step out of that system, basically, out of that control, break free of the chains, and take back of their own finances. Have I explained that properly, Adam? Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's totally right. I think we would say as well, slavery is quite a strong word in these, in these times, but people are enslaved by debt, and people, they wouldn't call a mortgage debt. There's lots of clever marketing tools. You wouldn't call it your credit card. You call it a credit card. It's positive. You wouldn't call it a debt card, but it is that. Same with a mortgage. You don't call it debt or a loan. It's a mortgage. It's got a different name. And I think just demystifying what the situation looks like, and as soon as you look behind the curtain, you can see how the system's really set up. And we just want to show people what we've learned for ourselves, so that you can take control. It would be a lot easier if we told people what to do. We really don't want to do that, because then you're relying on us. And the whole thing is that you don't need us. You can make these decisions for yourself, and be in a better place.
It's encouraging people to also take responsibility for their own decisions too, isn't it? Rather than, again, being reliant on somebody else all the time, because nobody cares about you and your family better than you do.
Yeah, sure.
No,
Absolutely.
no one.
One thing we've established is, of course, you guys are not financial advisors. You're here to share knowledge that we should have learnt from school.
Exactly.
But as you've said, this system is I've got to be careful with my words. It's not functioning correctly. We're in a debt slavery system, and the school system is within that same system. And that's why we are not taught about precious metals. We're not taught many other different things that are so important to human value. Okay, so guys, where do we begin?
Yeah, well, let me share my screen with you, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
And so can you see that here? We've got the broken piggy bank, and this for us was a massive eye opener of what's really going on. So I guess there's three types of people that might be watching this, and we want to make sure that we cover all of those three bases. One might be people that don't have a pension. I think as times are changing, some people are disenfranchised by the pension setup, and it's not something that they have. Two, it's people that already have a pension and can actually do something with it. You can actually move it and dictate where it's invested. And the third group of people are people that do have a pension but can't move it. And we always want to be mindful of all of those groups as we're going through. And at the end, we'd like to give a solution that we think for all of those three groups. The first thing I think we would say is, look, this is something we're going to be asking you a lot of questions for you to go and do some research and look for yourself is, do you think pensions currently are fit for purpose? You know, the job that they were set out to do you think they're doing that job, and are they doing it well? You can look at this as the state pension, which we'll look at in a second. You can also look at it if you've got a private or company pension. Is it doing what it was meant to do? It's seemingly very difficult to get anything out of pension organizations of, is it on track? What is it actually doing? What's the forecast for it? You know, there's lots of if, buts and maybes, which I get, no one can predict the future. But, you know, if you're only finding this information out when you come to retire, then it's too late to do anything about it. So we want to get this information to people so they can look into it and say, right, let me pull some strings and pull some different levers and have a choice while I can. Looking at this,
we're just trying to plant some seeds, Adam, aren't we? We're trying to encourage people to think, yes, good point. I need to go away and find that out. Yes, another really good point. I need to go and find that out sooner rather than later, to make them choices now rather than, like you just said then, rather than at retirement age, because it's too late in most cases then. Well, not in most cases, but in a lot of cases. You know, the sooner you take action with this, the better. Yeah,
the more you can do. So let's have a look at this, the state pension. We're going to look at the UK. I know there's people from different countries and looking at this, and the system works differently in each country, but we'll look at the UK. I'm sure there's some similarities that people can pick up on. So first of all, and I'd be interested, Nicholas, if you know any of this stuff, if you've come across it before, because it was as an eye-opener to us when we first found it out. So the state pension started in the UK in 1909. At that point, there was 38 million people within the UK, and the qualifying age for a state pension was 70 years old. So pretty old along the scale of life expectancy. And the life expectancy in 1909 was 45 for males and 49 for females. So think about it, the average life expectancy being 49, 45, and you've got to get to 70 to get this state pension. It's a pretty big jump. You've got to be, you've got to be living for a good chunk of time after the average life expectancy. What that meant is that only 1% of the population qualified for the pension. And there were some limits on it as well. And the limits were things like you needed to earn less than a certain amount a year. You had to be of good character, not to be convicted of drunkenness or habitual failed to work and things like that. So there were some more stringent rules meaning that less people actually got the pension. So that's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, when these kind of things start, it's with an idea that it's sustainable. And all these limits were put in place to make sure that it was sustainable, one would hope. Fast forward to 2021. Well, there's around 66 million people in the UK. The qualifying age currently is 66. So it's come down. The qualifying age has come down from 70 to 66. And the life expectancy for a male is 79 and for a female is 83. So already when we first saw this, it rang alarm bells saying that the qualifying age for a state pension is below the life expectancy. Whereas when it was set up, the life expectancy, the qualifying age was way above the life expectancy. So just on that note, far more people are going to qualify, which you might say, well, that's a good thing. You know, there's more people that are being looked after. But in our eyes, it's probably more people that aren't actively looking for solutions themselves, because it's more likely to happen. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like them telling us right now, we'll give you pension, but you have to be, you're liable to have pension when you're 120 years old. It's impossible.
Exactly.
So they want to come across as if they're doing us a favor, but really, I think I know where you're going with this, but I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah. So what it means is that 19% qualify. And there's no earning limits or character limits. Like if you've got to have so many qualifying years of employment, but other than that, it doesn't matter. You qualify. And for us, this just seems really unsustainable. And that you've got a whole an aging population that are living longer, and the pension age is under that life expectancy. So it's funding more and more people, and it's becoming top heavy. There's less people putting in and more people claiming for, 20 years, maybe actually claiming for 20 years. So worrying, I think if you see this and you're feeling a bit worried about it, then that's the same message that we got when we looked at this stuff. We thought, this is not something that we want to rely on, and this is only going to get worse. It's only going to get more unsustainable.
And we're only talking about UK state pensions here, obviously for obvious reasons, because we're from the UK. But again, we're just here to plant seeds and just trying to encourage you to look at your own pension and look at and do your own research on your own pension, what state of health your pension is in, and the questions you need to be asking now, sooner rather than later.
Sure. Absolutely. I want to say also, just before you continue, that here in the UK, we have an automatic pension scheme, which is you're automatically paying it from your salary, and you have to, and in order to opt out, we have to fill in an application form or make a phone call to HMRC. They don't even ask us if we want to be part of this pension scheme, and they're taking our money. It's just unacceptable. But they should be asking us in the beginning. And this is supposedly to protect us in the future, to give us some finances, where really this money every month can go towards gold, because that's very sustainable, not fiat currency. And then they come up with another emergency and say, well, guys, we can't pay our pension now.
Spot on.
It's happened. It's happened many times with pensions that, they just say, the money's not here. I think as well, the fact of the government putting kind of, what's the way of saying this? They're kind of setting things up for people to have a pension. So rather than having a choice, they're saying, we auto-enroll you. You're automatically enrolled into this pension. And I think if they're trying to do that, then they're trying to get themselves off the hook of this state pension. To say, well, I think in years to come, you will see that there will be a transition between, well, you've got an auto-enrolled pension, so you don't qualify for the state pension, and it will be one or the other. The other thing on your point there, Nicholas, is you're auto-enrolled, and not only do you have to opt out, but you have to keep opting out because they re-enroll you every so many years. So
we found that out,
without you asking, they'll just, I think it's every 3 years, 5 years.
3 years, I think. I'm not sure.
3 years, They'll re-enroll you. So they say, we're taking your money. You've got to tell us if you don't want us to take it. And every 3 years, you have to keep telling us you don't want us to take it. Which
maybe we should do the same and not pay our taxes and say, well, you got to let us know if we need to pay taxes every 3 years. Otherwise, we'll stop.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if that was the case?
You know.
When we first learned this, Nicholas, many, many years ago, actually now, when we first learned this, we just couldn't, I had a military pension. And I did some things with that, which were very unique, because I just didn't believe in pensions. When I learned this personally, I wanted out. I really did want out, and I started creating my own pension in property, and that's why I started property investing, and then into precious metals. But yeah, just to create your own pension, something that I control, and no one can tell me what I can and can't do. You've got a lot more freedom, haven't you?
Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah,
and you're getting paid now. You're not waiting until you're whatever age, when you might not even be here. And I think at the time, the military, the average age of veterans, I think it was a lot lower than the normal average age. The age you live to is a lot lower. A lot of veterans don't even get to retirement age.
Guys, I want to mention this as well. They want us to pay every month, in our pension scheme, right? But when we get to that age, let's say we don't get to that age, that money that we have paid taxes on, that's gone to the government for our pension scheme, does that go back to our children?
That's a great point, and we're going to cover that a little bit further on.
Hold that thought.
Yeah, definitely. Because what happens? What happens if you've worked all those years and you never see the benefits of that? Well, look, just while James, you're talking about military pension, do you want to just let us know the changes that were happening while you?
Just to keep it short and sweet, really. I did a full 22 years service, Nicholas, and in that period, the pensions changed twice, and it was changing a third time as I was leaving. And as you can probably imagine, each time it changed, it was less money in our pockets and more money in theirs, And I started looking into what you've just mentioned, your benefits to your spouses. If something happened to you personally. And I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed at all. I can't remember exactly what your spouse would get. But again, this is a question that people need to be asking. What does my wife get, my kids get if I pass away? What happens if I pass? And does it matter if I pass away at home in civilian life, or does it doing mowing the garden, or does it matter if I pass away when I'm on tour, when I'm away in Afghanistan or somewhere like that? And these are the questions people need to ask. And like I said, it's what does your family get, if anything? So and then there's always stipulations in that. I noticed, I can't remember exactly again, but these are just points for people to ask, questions to ask. There's certain stipulations. There's just so much can and can't do. Computer says no. Computer, they've got you wrapped up in something that you just can't escape. You're just like, well, what if I do this? You can't do that because of this. What if I do this? You can't do this because of this. You can only do this. And it's not for me. I just want it out completely and create my own pension that I do what I want to do and my family get what I want them to get.
Yeah.
And
something else that I've recently found out with a family member of mine is an NHS pension, which would probably be seen as a pretty decent pension, from the ones that are left over. Yeah, it's fairly good. But again, there's rules and control. I think it all comes down to control at the end of the day. And if you, a rule was brought in that if you retire and you take your pension in the NHS and you then go back to work for the NHS, you can't earn a combined income of your pension and your employment more than you earn when you were full-time employed. So not only do they say, hey, we're not giving you very much, but they also say you can come back to work for us, but we limit the amount that you can earn because you've taken your pension, which is just madness that you can retire and then you're limited with what you can do, something you've trained and worked in all your life. The other thing, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's as if they're bullying us. I mean, why can't just everyone have money and be happy? What's the big deal? Yeah. I mean, we're all humans. Why can't we all help each other? What's the point of this control? But it's oppression. They want to keep us on a low frequency, and it goes into the spiritual realm, which I'm not going to get into.
Yeah, they do.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
I imagine if people did get this education at an early age, they wouldn't be able to do this because people would ask questions. People would be wise to it.
Yeah, they would.
There's a reason why they're not teaching this at school.
The other thing we found out with the NHS pension, obviously it's funded by the government. The government would be your employer in the NHS. That's for anyone that's not in the UK, it's a National Health Service, so it'd be hospitals and everything. Because the government have put in to your NHS pension, when you then come to state pension age, where you can get a state pension, the government say, well, actually, we put into your NHS pension, so we're going to take that off you at state pension. So it all looks good. They go, the government are putting into it, and that, it's building, but then they take it off you in another place. And it's so difficult to just get ahead, or even just to stay afloat. And that's what we find, that if you took 100 people in society, you took a random sample of 100 people, this is how they would stack up. 1 would be wealthy. 4 would be financially independent. 41 would be still working. And this is at retirement age, not because they want to, but because they have to. And 54 would be dead broke. And by that, we mean reliant on government funding, family members, but not in a great place. And this is what society looks like in the UK anyway at the moment. So 95% of those people are not where they would want to have been when they set out on this journey. No one sets out in their working life to be still working or dead broke at retirement. Everyone, I'm sure, would say financially independent or wealthy, but it's just not the case. And this is why there's really good evidence to say that the system isn't working for most people.
It's not designed to, though, is it? In our view, it's not designed to work for the masses, for us.
And even if it was designed to work for the masses, the results are saying, the evidence is saying it isn't. Even if the intention was that way, it's not doing its thing. I mean, the average UK pension pot is £61,000. That would give you £3,000 a year at retirement. Which, I mean, £3,000. What can you do with that per year? Not a great deal. To get £11,000 a year, you would need £200,000 in your pension pot. Please just let those numbers settle in and look at what you've got and what it's going to give you, and start doing something now. Please act now. The sooner you act, the bigger the difference you can make.
We've spoken to a lot of people that have left work, retired, or thought they were retiring, but they've had to go back to work to try to survive. They can't retire. They just can't. It's not fair.
And it's really, really sad as well when people have worked all their life and then they just have to keep working at this time that they should be, if they've got health issues or looking after loved ones, to have that option, we think that would be great for everyone.
So we help people, just be at least financially independent, Adam, don't we? Or just be in a better place at least financially, and just get somewhere near that top 5%. It's somewhere near it. But we're not about being millionaires and having lots and lots of money. We're just about being debt free at least, and having some security. And that's where the precious metals comes in.
It's very difficult to have that kind of, to save up that kind of money for your pension when all your life you're working, and we know that the system doesn't pay a lot. And also we want a property. So we don't just want a pension, but we want to know during our lives we'll be able to buy a property, which we're in debt to most of our lives. You know, if not all our lives, we want a car, we want to have children. People just want a normal life. They want a family, house and a car and a job or a career. That's what people want. Most people just want a simple, normal life. And absolutely, this is why I have you guys here to explain how we can speed that process and have all of those things that we want by making the right decisions.
The sooner rather than later again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sooner than later.
And I would say, look, and I know we've talked about stuff that might sound a little bit doom and gloom and that it's all bad news. I think you've got to just look at reality and see how things currently are. And sometimes that, I know for us, when we saw this stuff for the first time, is the potential pain of it is such a big motivator. And if that's what you've got from this, then for us, that's job done. You know, really look into this. And please don't put your head in the sand and just think that it'll be all right.
No matter what age you are, no matter what age you are, I would say too.
Yeah.
Whether you're in retirement age already getting your pension, it's still worth looking at. We always say, look at this sooner rather than later. But even if you are at a later age and you're looking at it just now, good. There's no wrong time to look at this. For sure. Start asking these questions. There's no wrong time other than tomorrow.
Yeah. I think the solution then, to bring it back round to something a little bit lighter and what you can actually do, and this is what we're all about, empowering people so that you can do something about it. The first step we always think in all of this is get educated and invest in yourself. The best investment we think you can make is in yourself. And look at what options you've got. Lay everything out on the table and see what possibilities there are. You might have a pension and be able to do something with it. You might find out that you can't do anything with it, but it's better to know that sooner rather than later, because then you can make alternative plans. Or if you've not got a pension, then you can look at your own setup, something for yourself. And for us, it's all about building your own infrastructure, not relying on the infrastructure of other organizations, but to build it yourself that you're in control of. Control is the number one thing, and it's taken from us so easily without us knowing a lot of the time.
And it's the number one reason why we buy precious metals personally. It's not because of the growth or anything like that. It's taking back control. It's our number one reason.
Absolutely.
Well, look, here's some questions that we think you should be asking, and it kind of loops it back around to your point, Nicholas, about what happens to your pension if you don't if you don't get to pensionable age, or what happens in that scenario. So first of all, ask yourself, is the pension that you've got sustainable? And you might need to do a bit of digging to find this out. But we hear on the news, there's, pension companies and pension pots of companies that, the money's disappeared or it's just not there. And people have worked all their life and put into it for something that can't then serve them. So is it sustainable? Could it change? And could it change again? As James said, with the military pension, it changed twice and not for the better. And it was due to change again. Yeah. So have your eyes on that.
We have no choice.
Yeah. Is it linked to the stock market? And if so, are you happy with that? Are you happy to go on that journey of the stock market? Then this is not right and wrong. It's not, should it be linked to stock market? Should not. Just is it, and are you happy with it? Ask yourself these questions. Are the family benefits sufficient? And this is what you were talking about, Nicholas, is what happens when you're not around. And James, you chatted with someone recently about pensions and the current situation. Do you want to just let everyone know how that works?
He basically what he basically said is, people in certain situations, again, they aren't made aware of this for what we believe for obvious reasons. But there's certain ways of setting up your pension, whereas you can make sure that your family gets 100%. Well, he said 101%. I don't understand why, but basically, which means your family would get 100% of the benefit of your pension if you passed away. There's ways of doing that, but they're just not openly known by the average person. This information isn't given out freely. But this is why we've been looking at a pension guy, this guy who we've been speaking to in the UK, so we can help people in the UK too. Because at the minute, we're set up to help people in the US. We're really happy with that, because at first we weren't able to do that. We had lots of people asking us for help. So we went out there and we found a reputable company that can help people with their pensions in the US. But in the UK, we can't even do it in the UK in a minute for our own people here. But we've been looking at working with somebody within the UK and Europe to deal with the pension side of things that we can trust, obviously. But like I said, he shared a little bit of information with me regarding talking about family benefits, whereas people their families would be better off if they did this and did that. And it's things that you just weren't aware of and thought, wow, that's amazing. That just changes everything.
James, just to ask, so there's things you can do that you would get, your family would get 100% of the benefit of your pension.
Of your pension. Whereas a normal pension, he was saying, you wouldn't necessarily get that. You wouldn't get that.
What would you get typically? Did he say?
I think he said 50%, if I remember rightly. But don't quote me on that. So don't quote me on that. But there's a lot of information. There's a lot of information shared, and we always try and keep things simple, Adam, don't we? And that's just the one thing that I really picked up on. It's a massive point that. And people just never think about it. I think most people from our point of view never seem to think about that side of it.
Yeah, what's going to happen?
It's a massive point, because where does that money go? Back to the government? Do you want that? Do you want that money to go back to the government, and your family's left there? You're sat there trying to feed your family. You just lost your husband or your wife.
Exactly. Who is the government? Who is the government? Who gave them that authority to tell individuals that you can't give your taxed hard work earned money to your family after you've died, despite that they're suffering from grief?
Yeah.
It's and this is why, again, we think the system is not serving most people.
Absolutely.
But there are things you can do. There is hope. There is options. Please explore them. And I guess as well, it is worth us saying that we're not pensions experts. So please speak to someone that is a pensions expert. There are so many different types of pensions out there, far too many for us to keep up with, and the rules change, and there's things you can and can't do. And you want to make sure that you're compliant, but you want to look at your options as well. So please get in contact with someone that can give you these possibilities and these options. The other thing to consider and ask yourself is your pension on track? Is it going to do what you need it to do? And thinking about these three groups of people that don't have a pension, do and can move it, and do have one and can't move it. If you don't have a pension, then we love precious metals and think that is a great way for you to build a retirement fund independent of any other organization that's managing your funds for you. If you have a pension and you can move it, but it's still not going to quite do what you think it's going to do as far as being on track, then again, have something that you can control. Start contributing to something like precious metals that you can do something with. And if you've got a pension and you can't move it, then find out if it's on track and make the necessary arrangements. That with any investment, time is your biggest asset. So the sooner you do it, the better. I know we've hammered that point, but it really is important.
We've spoken to several customers that have done the wrong thing, haven't we? We have spoken to there's a customer recently, actually, that said that he was putting so much of his money away from his wage across into a pension, and he's stopped that now. I don't know how he's done it, but he's stopped it, and he's putting it into precious metals separately, personally, isn't he? So, and he's really happy with that. So we can help people in many different ways, can't we? Generally, we can help most people, no matter what situation they're in normally.
Yeah. The other question to ask is, what flexibility do you have? Do you have to wait to a certain age to get the funds? Can you take them all? Can you do what you want with them? Please look into this. We think that it is worth having something that you control, and you can decide, look, I actually want to work a bit longer, so I don't want to take it then, or I want to retire a little bit sooner. Maybe there's a you have a health condition and you want to retire earlier, do you have that option, or do you need to make an alternative arrangement that runs alongside it that you control? Mm-hmm. And this is the main point for everything. We could kind of summarize the whole thing is your pension in your control? And that could be subjective to some degree. You might think, well, yes, it is. I can do this, this, and this. Or you might feel like it's not. And this is all very personal. It's all to do with your situation. But please look into it. Please do, and ask these questions. Find out for yourself, and then you can take action accordingly. So, as we've said, just to summarize, people that have a pension and can't move it, find out if it's on track, find out if it's going to do what you want it to do, find out if it's fit for purpose for you. And if not, look at an alternative. Like we've said, we love precious metals. History shows that they perform very well, and it's something we're passionate about. And takes back control. If you have a pension and you can move it, great. You can be in control. Now that might be different levels of things you can do. And if you're in the US, then like James said, there's a company we've partnered with that can really help US citizens to move their pensions. They're called IRAs, 401ks, into metals. It's a really, really good solution and fairly quick to do as well. They cover all the the paperwork and the red tape for you.
We've helped a lot of people already, Adam, haven't we? And we've had some really good feedback too. So
yeah, definitely. And the last group is people that don't have a pension. Please do something. Time happens to us all, and we all age. Sadly, some better than others. I can see some bags under my eyes, not aging very well. But if you've not got a pension, then please do something. Have a retirement fund of your own and start as soon as possible. Please do that, and you will put yourself in a far better position for you and your family in the future.
And just to say something else, just to add to that too, Adam, just we don't want people watching this and ruling themselves out either. So we've had this before where people have ruled themselves out because they think I haven't got much money. You don't need a lot of money. There's some people who save £25, £50 a month, or they just save monthly, little bits every single month. Mm-hmm. If you kept doing that over time, 10, 20 years, guess what? It's going to make a difference.
Absolutely.
So you don't need lots of money. We're very passionate about helping people who haven't got lots of money, as well as people that have got some money, we're more passionate about helping the people that haven't got much, aren't we, Adam? That's how we started out, really. But we need to help everyone. We just time and time again, people sometimes watch our videos or they speak to us and they'll say, well, I haven't got a lot. And they rule themselves out straight away. They don't even take it any further. They rule themselves out, and it's not fair, is it? So we want to help them too,
Absolutely. So in what way are you able to help the viewers today with considering the presentation that you have showed us today?
I think, first of all, go and ask those questions and do your research for your own individual circumstances. I think just to provoke and ask those questions is the first thing. And secondly, if you are interested in having your own retirement fund, we love precious metals, and that's something that we can really help people with to if they're in the US, to move their retirement account into precious metals, or to start building something independent of that. And people can get in contact with us, and we'll have a chat, work out what situation you're in, and see how we can help you. Like James said, there's usually something we can do for most people.
And we should soon have an option for people in the UK and Europe regarding the pension side too. Soon.
Yes.
We are working on it behind the scenes. It's just we're just very, very busy. But we are working on that.
Absolutely, guys. That was an excellent presentation about pensions and retirement funds. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
I think if there's anyone that would like a bit more information about what we do, would like to follow what we do, we post on our Telegram channel what we're buying as far as precious metals at certain times, and there's loads of information that people can learn from. So Telegram would probably be the best option for that.
Excellent. What I'll do is I'll leave the link below in the description so that people can contact you. They can ask questions, and if they wish to know more about precious metals as well, and how to take back that power and sovereignty, because that's really what we are and what we should go back to, the sovereignty and the constitution, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And Adam and James, it's been an absolute honor, and we'll speak again very soon. God bless you.
Yeah. You take care, Nicholas.
Thanks, Nicholas. Cheers. Bye.